The ingredients for your apple muffins is going to be 1 cup of apple, peeled and chopped, 2 cups of flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, a dash of cinnamon, 1 large egg, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, half a stick of melted butter, and 1 cup of milk. And the ingredients for your apple peels will be apple peels, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. And it's optional if you would like to add a splash of lemon juice. The first thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 375 degrees to get ready for our apple peels. So hello, I have all of my ingredients here. I have my food ingredients on this side, and I have the materials and the cooking tools we're going to need on this side. So the first thing we're going to do is get our apple peels ready. We make sure our apples are nice and washed and cleaned before we begin peeling them. How I'm going to peel it is I'm going to peel from the stem to the bottom of the apple. Very carefully with my peeler. I'm going to try and get some thick slices of peel for us to snack on. And once we have our first apple peeled, I'm going to peel our second apple the same way. And once our apples are peeled, to keep the moisture from leaving our apples, I'm going to add a small splash of water. And then I'm just going to mix all of the peels together and make sure that the water has coated all of them so that we can get ready for our next step. I'm going to take my teaspoon of sugar, and this is where you add your 2 teaspoons of sugar, but I added 1 now and then 1 later on. And then I'm going to add my teaspoon of cinnamon as well. And then once you add your sugar and your cinnamon, you can start mixing them all together. Stir all of the peels so that they're all coated with your cinnamon sugar. I just shook my bowl, but then I grabbed a spoon just to make sure that everything was coated. And this is where I added my splash of lemon juice. And I mixed it all together. And this is also where I added my 2nd teaspoon of sugar. And after mixing all of this together, this made me the perfect candied peel recipe. And after all of your peels are coated in your cinnamon sugar mixture, I'm going to add them to a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I'm going to scoop them out of the bowl from the liquid because we don't want the liquid, we just want the peel. So I'm going to do my best to try and just add the peel to this baking sheet. And after they're added to the baking sheet, I'm going to use my spoon and just make sure that they are laid out flat and that each little peel has its own space. Then, once we have all of our peels laid out, they're ready to be popped in the oven for 15 minutes. And while those are baking, we are going to continue working on our muffins. So, for our muffins, we are going to take our apples, and now that they're peeled, they need to be chopped. So I'm going to take a knife and very carefully start cutting up my apple. And I am cutting around the core of the apple and only cutting off what we're going to need. I ended up chopping up both of my apples and it gave me more than enough for my apple muffins. So if you would like, you can chop up 1 apple and then see how much it gives you. We're only going to need 1 cup of chopped apple for this muffin recipe. But if you would like to have some apples to snack on while your muffins are cooking, you can go ahead and chop up both apples. I'm going to put my sharp knife away and see if a butter knife will chop these apples. And they do, so I'm going to use my butter knife just to chop up my apples. This makes it a lot easier, and it's safer for your little ones if they would like to help chop too. We're just going to dice our apples up into small cubes so that they can be added to our batter. After it's chopped up and you have 1 cup of apple ready to go, I'm going to begin adding my 2 cups of flour to a bowl with 1 and 2 scoops. And next we're going to add our 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, your dash of cinnamon, and your 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt is going to go in. And after all those ingredients are in, I'm going to take a wooden spoon and just mix it all together and make sure that our ingredients are well combined. After you've mixed well enough, we're going to set that bowl aside and grab another bowl because we're going to add some wet ingredients to this one. I'm going to add my 1 large egg with 1 tap on the counter. Oh, it didn't open. So I'm going to try one more time. 1 big tap and into the bowl. After I added the egg, I'm taking a fork and just whisking the egg together, beating the egg a little bit before we add our next ingredient. I'm going to add my 1/2 cup of sugar. 1 and 2 scoops. And that is our 1/2 cup. Next, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of brown sugar. 1 and 2 scoops. And then we add our 1 cup of milk into the bowl. And once you've added those ingredients, we are going to take a spoon or a whisk and just mix all of our ingredients together until those are well combined. After this bowl has been mixed to the best of our ability, we are going to then add our 1/2 stick of melted butter, melted and cooled. And then we're going to mix that together as well. And after that has been well mixed and combined, I'm then going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. And then the fun part, mixing them both together to create our muffin batter. We're going to mix and mix and mix until these ingredients are super well combined and that we have a nice muffin batter like this that's ready for our apples. Then we can add our 1 cup of apple to this batter. After adding those, I'm then going to just fold and stir in our apple pieces into the batter. And once I have my batter well mixed and it's ready to be scooped, I'm going to get my muffin tray ready with some cupcake liners. And if you don't have cupcake liners, you can just coat your muffin tray with some olive oil and then you'll be ready to go. And now that my muffin liners are ready, I'm going to take a small spoon, I'm just going to use a measuring spoon, and I'm going to start scooping my batter into the muffin tray. We're going to fill it up just so that there's a little bit of space left at the top of our cupcake liner. And if it's easier for you, I am using 2 spoons to help me scoop my batter in. 1 to scoop the batter out of the bowl, and then 1 spoon to scoop the batter into the muffin tray. After all the batter is added, I'm just going to smooth out the tops to my muffins, and these can go into the oven for 20 minutes. After 15 minutes in the oven, these candied apple peels are ready to snack on. And then after 20 minutes in the oven, you have some delicious apple muffins. And with my leftover batter, I went ahead and made some little mini muffins. I hope you all enjoyed this recipe. I know I did. Thank you all for watching, everyone. Bon appétit.